welcome back to my channel. For those that don't know me, my name is Amanda. I'm new here on YouTube. For this week's video, I decided to dive into something a little more personal, and that would be my labor and delivery story of my son Colton. My son is now currently 5 years old, so it has been a little bit. However, it's one of those situations in life that a mother will never forget. It feels like I just did it yesterday. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, as it really supports my channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell, and that way you have a notification every time I upload every week. So to start off, I ended up having a very beautiful pregnancy. I did not have no morning sickness, no swollen feet, hormonal issues. I don't feel like I had any of those. I had a very nice pregnancy, no troubles whatsoever, other than I did seem to have a lot of back pain, but to me that was just normal. So other than that, it was a very beautiful pregnancy. I ended up going to 40 weeks and 4 days before I went into labor naturally. The funny part that starts the fun, interesting labor story, at least to me, was I was in labor for about 7 hours and did not know it. So to some that may not feel weird, to me I felt like that was weird. That's not how I expected labor to start off for me. It was around 11 a.m. when I noticed that I started having this back pain, which obviously, like I said, I had always had the back pain, but this time it felt different. I don't even know how to describe it, but it felt a lot different, and it just was a solid back pain that just would not increase, it wouldn't decrease, it just was like a flat level of pain, discomfort. So I thought maybe it was just from me sitting in the chair for too long. So I ended up getting up, walked around. That didn't seem to help any. So I ended up taking a warm shower, to see if that was going to help. Of course, it didn't help. It didn't seem like no matter what I did, laid down, walked around, showered, nothing was seeming to make it ease up at all. So about 7 hours into just being uncomfortable, I was starting to talk to my family about how I was feeling, and they were saying maybe I'm in labor. And I was like, yeah, but I haven't had any contractions, literally had not had a single contraction, just the back pain. So I was kind of hesitant about that at first. But then after starting to talk to him, I really started thinking, well, I am 40 weeks and 4 days, I guess, and every pregnancy is different. So I said, fine, I'll go to the triage. Why not? So around 6 o'clock in the evening or so is when I arrived to the triage. What I remember is I went to the emergency room, just told them, I think I might be in labor, and they told me exactly where I needed to go, which was the 5th floor. So I went ahead and went up to the 5th floor, had to buzz myself in, said I think I might be in labor. So they buzzed me in, got myself into a triage room. Now, the funniest thing that I also find funny was they told me that generally women who are having contractions, the moment they get into triage, their contractions stopped. For me, I didn't have any contractions, and then as soon as I got into triage, I started having contractions. So I thought it was kind of funny that I was having literally the opposite of what the normal was. So I got into the triage. They decided to do a pelvic exam and told me I was at 2 centimeters dilated, which is what I already knew. That's what the doctor I had just seen previously had told me I was at 2 centimeters. And so they said, we will monitor you for an hour and to see if you dilate any within that hour. If you're not, then we'll just, you can go back home and see how things go. Well, I ended up dilating from 2 to 2.5 within the hour. So that told them that yes, I am currently in labor. So that was kind of nice to know that, I am in labor. And one thing though that I did notice was that I was starting to have the exact same labor as my mom. I was having back labor. I would have one contraction in my stomach, and the pain level for that was maybe a 2 to start off, and then I would have 1 or 2 contractions in my back, and those were already a 4. So it was almost the double level of pain right from the very beginning. So after they decided that they were going to admit me, they got me into a room. And because all the other normal labor and delivery rooms were full at the time, they did have one room that was a little smaller, because it's usually for for the women who have C-sections, so it was a little smaller, but it was still doable. So they went ahead and put me in that room. It seemed to work out fine for me. I wasn't bothered. The fact that I got a room was fine with me. So they got me into a room, and I don't know how far along or how quickly, how many hours it was after this that I ended up with the epidural. I do remember though that they told me that because I was starting to have back labor like I was, by the time they normally would put an epidural in, I would be in so much pain at that time I wouldn't be able to hold still enough to safely get it placed. So they said if you want one, now would be your your time to say. So I thought to myself, and I'm like, okay, do I want to do this naturally or do I want to have the epidural now? I kind of had to make the decision quickly. I did end up doing the epidural. I was very open to both options. I did want to do naturally. I feel like I do have a high pain threshold. However, just knowing what my mom went through during back labor, I thought to myself, why not? Just get the epidural. So they ended up giving me my epidural. It actually was not as painful as I expected. I expected it to be really painful, but actually it was quite tolerable. It was not even, I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of just like a little burning sensation, but not like painful. But that's just for me. It could be different for everyone else. So I do feel like I dilated slowly. I ended up not sleeping the entire night because, like I said, I got admitted at like maybe 7, 8 o'clock at night. I did not sleep that entire night. I pretty much laid in bed watching the newborn channel all night long while my husband slept on the couch. And the next morning, I don't know what time it was. I was kind of not keeping track. I think I was sleep deprived without even realizing I was sleep deprived for the fact that my body was focusing on other business at the time. I just know it was in the morning. My doctor came to check on me, and he did notice when he checked the baby that he was what he called sunny side up. So if you don't know what sunny side up means, it means basically that the baby's face, how do I put it, was facing towards the ceiling instead of facing down towards my bum. So he wasn't backwards or anything, he just was facing one way and he needed to face down. So the doctor told me that basically to fix that, hopefully to fix that, basically what I did is I laid on my right side with my left leg elevated for like, I don't know, remember how long, like an hour or 2 hours or something. And then I had to switch to my other side with the other leg lifted up. And I basically had to do this all for however long. And then when the doctor came and checked and finally saw that baby did turn, don't know how that works. Kind of amazed me, but it worked. Baby did turn to where he was in proper positioning. So that was helpful. So I want to say it was probably around 2 p.m. when the doctor told me, because I think it was shortly after that I was cleared to start pushing. So I ended up pushing for 2.5 hours. So they initially started me to try and push, but I couldn't control the muscles enough in my body because of the epidural to push. So they ended up having to turn my epidural down. So I was able to feel a little bit more. It did kind of help with the initial, like the pain, but I felt a lot more pressure, and I did feel a lot of discomfort. I wouldn't say deep pain, but I felt a lot of discomfort. All my contractions decided that they wanted to bypass the epidural, and I pretty much felt them in my entire butt cheeks. So if you've ever had a Charlie horse, imagine a Charlie horse in each butt cheek. It was not pleasant. And for some reason, the epidural did not want to partake in helping me with that situation. So the only thing that seemed to make the pain of those feel better was pushing. So I remember I kept asking the nurses can I push? Can I push? And they kept asking, are you contracting? Well, no. But it just was very uncomfortable, because it wasn't just the contractions like in my butt cheeks. It was more like, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't think it was initially even the contractions. I think it was just, I honestly can't remember. I just remember feeling very uncomfortable in my butt cheeks. So, when I think just after I was able to get him, I think most of my pushing time involved trying to get him under it's called the pubis. The technical term for that bone is the pubis. Trying to get him basically under that to where his head was at the opening, I feel like is what took the longest. Because once he got to the opening, it wasn't so bad. I was able to get him out pretty quickly after that. I got his head out just fine, and then even with the epidural, here came the shoulders. And I remember feeling like, this is the best way I can describe it. It just kind of went like a pop. Like I know that may not sound right, but that's the only way I can describe it. It just felt like this instant burst of pressure and then popped. And basically that was a 2nd-degree tear that I had due to his shoulders. So it was exactly 4:20 p.m. when my son was fully considered born. I do distinctly remember saying the exact words, and my very first words to him was that he was perfect. That moment that your firstborn baby, or even just any baby, I think, but for me it's my only born, that moment that they pulled him out and put him on my chest and I heard him, it was the moment my life changed. And that's the moment I became a mom to a handsome, beautiful little boy. Wow. Just thinking of that kind of wants me want to cry. Anyway, they did notice that he was slightly jaundiced, not extremely bad, but it was just enough that they needed to monitor him a little bit. So he did spend about 3 days in the hospital, just so they can monitor, make sure his bilirubin levels were going back to normal. And each day they did continue to get better and better, so that was nice. He didn't require any lights or anything like that. But after the 3 days, we did end up getting to go home. So, like I said, my son is currently now 5 years old. And part of the reason I think I decided to make this as this video was for the fact that yesterday I enrolled my son into kindergarten. And it kind of made me think about how fast time has gone. And I am beyond blessed to have this little boy to be called my son, even though he can be a pain in my rumpus more times than one a day. I could not imagine my life without him. He is my world and everything in it. And I hope that, one day he'll see just how much I truly love him. So that is my quick little story about the delivery of my son.
What are you doing?
Say hi. Can you say, what did we go to the school for yesterday? Huh? Are you gonna go to kindergarten?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you excited?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can you say, what's your name?
Colton Kenneth.
Colton Kenneth? Who's your best friend? Me? Who's my best friend?
Daddy.
No. Who's my best friend?
Me.
Yes. Alright.
Daddy can be your best friend.
Daddy can be my best friend too?
Ah.
Yeah? Okay.